In order to use classes in object-oriented programming, one of the things you have to do, or sort of the sense that you have to have, is that you can use any other class that you want as long as that class is a public class. In order to do that, the first thing you need to do is to include the class that you want to use, or include the file from the class. Now you may remember from the first video we had, the name of the class was called first class, and we saved it in a file called class1.php. The casing and so forth of the file isn't very important, but as a convention, classes generally start with a capital letter. For example, this class is called client, and the first one was called first class. So let's see how this client class can use the other class. Okay, we'll start off. The first thing we have to do, we have to use this include once or some similar include type of statement to use the class that's in another file. Then we just go ahead like we did with the last class. We put down the class statement and then the name and then our curly brace. Here we have a private property that we're calling caller. This is the one that's going to be used to instantiate the class that we're calling. When we instantiate a class, we usually refer to it as an object. And here we have a public function called call first. Now, the reason that it's public, and we want to have one that's public in this particular case, is that only public functions or public methods can be called from another class outside of the class, the parent class. And so this is what the method looks like. We have our property caller, and we instantiate an instance of the first class. And then what we do is that we call the method in the class. So this caller is now an object or an instance of first class, and then we use the method that was in the first class called firstMeth. If you remember what it did, it simply echoed out hello world. So and then we close that and we come to the end of the class. So this is really the length of the class, or the essence of it is from this first curly brace up here to this one down here. The other curly braces define the method. And now we're outside of the class. And so we have a name. I use the word worker a lot. I suppose I was doing some things with parallel programming, and we called concurrent programming, and we use the word worker a lot. So I just started using it. But you can use any variable name you're comfortable with. And so what we do here is that this is outside of the class, and so I have worker equal new client. So here I'm instantiating an instance of the client class, and then with it I have the call to first use the method that's part of client. And what this does is that it then of course goes ahead and instantiates and calls the method in the other class. Now this looks like going around the world to see your next door neighbor, and it's a little more involved, but what we'll find out is that as classes become more complex and useful, and they have more methods and so forth in them, this becomes very useful, because what you can do is that you can take existing classes and then create objects from them, and it makes organization and changing them very easy, and of course you can reuse them. And then down here at the very bottom, of course, we have the end of the PHP program. Now when we run this program, all we do is that we click on the file, the PHP file with its name. In this particular case, the name of the client class is, file for it is client1. So I click it and up comes hello world.